Hi guys, so some of you guys have been asking me to if I can show you guys how to use Statcrunch, and in particular how to find the sample and population standard deviation using Statcrunch, and also how to find z-scores. So that's what this video is going to be about. So once you log into Statcrunch, what you're going to click on is this yellow button, so click on Open Statcrunch. And then one of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to whatever data I have. So sometimes in your homework, they might give you some data. So I'm just going to make some data up. So let's say this is like number of pets. So I'm just going to write pets. And let's say here I have a whole bunch of data of the number of pets. I'm just making this up, of course. So here we have 11 total observations. Let me go ahead and go this way. So we have 11 observations on the number of pets. And one of the things that we can do is find the mean of these guys, or find standard deviation, quartiles, everything. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to click on stats, then click on summary stats, and click on columns. So that's going to give us this little page once I click on that. So I'm going to click on pets. Notice that here a lot of the statistics are already put in, so I'm just going to go ahead and click on compute, and here you have it. So you have the mean, you have the variance, the standard deviation, standard error, which we'll talk about later on, median, range. Be very aware of the Q1 and the Q3. The way that Statcrunch does it is a little different than the way that we've learned it in class. So Q1 and Q3 here are a big question mark. So if you do get it wrong, you might have to do it by hand to calculate quartiles and percentiles in general. Everyone does it a little differently, and so does Statcrunch. So just be aware of the Q1 and the Q3. But notice here, something to talk about, a standard deviation. This is a sample standard deviation. So this guy is sample, not the population. Now let's say you wanted to get the population standard deviation. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to options and then edit. So I'm just going to select the mean, right? So this is, so remember, sample mean and population mean, they actually have exactly the same formula. But if you wanted to get the population standard deviation, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way down, and you're going to click on unadjusted standard deviation. So I'm going to click on on control and then click, and it'll also look at the unadjusted standard deviation. This one's the population. So I'm going to compute that, and here are my summary stats. Here is basically my population mean or my sample mean. They're actually the same. And here is my unadjusted, my population standard deviation. Okay, so whenever you click on unadjusted, that's what that is. Now let's say you wanted to find the z-score. Maybe they wanted to know, hey, I want to know what z-score is, I don't know, having 3 pets, for example. So there's 2 different ways that you can do it. So here is one way to do it. I'm gonna go here. Oops, here we go. So one way, if I wanted to know the z-score of 3, okay, so let's say I want to know what the z-score is of 3. Then one of the things that I can do is I can just straight up just do it by hand. Z is equal to x minus mu divided by sigma. So x in this case is 3 minus the mean divided by the population standard deviation. And because we already know that, well, I know that the mean is 2.18, around there. And then the unadjusted standard deviation will be about, let's round it to 1.8. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just do 3 minus 2.18. And then we're going to divide that by 1.8. And I'm going to get about a z-score of 0.46 about there, or 0.5555. So that's one way to do it, just doing it by hand. Another way that you can do it is using Statcrunch itself. It does involve a little bit more. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on data. So if you're lazy and you don't want to do it in the calculator, you kind of don't trust yourself, you can click on data and then go down to compute and then click on expression. So here you're going to see this weird, little window. We're going to click on build. And then what you're going to do is you're going to press a set of parentheses to kind of put the numerator. And what was it? It was 3 minus, and then whatever the mean was. So the mean is right there. So we can literally just put the whole thing. I'm just going to use, for the sake of accuracy, I'm just going to use that one, 2.81, 2.18. Okay, and then I'm going to move this over and then divide this by the the population standard deviation, which is 1.8. So I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. Okay, and I'm going to compute. And here it'll pop up the z-score, so 0.45555, which is basically what we got, 0.46. If you wanted to do something more interesting and you wanted to know, oh, I'm wondering how you can find the z-score of all of these data. So if I have all of this data and I want to know what exactly that z-score is of each of these guys, well, you can do something a little more sophisticated. So you can click on data, still, go to compute and expression. So we're going to kind of do the same thing. So we're going to put the set of parentheses, but in this case, we're going to write pets. So basically what we're doing is we're going to get all of these numbers, and I'm going to get a z-score for each of them. So I'm going to now minus the mean, which in this case was 2.81. I'm sorry, 2.18. And then we're going to divide this by 1.8. And then I'm going to just press OK. I'm just going to compute, and what happens, I get a z-score for each of these individual pets. So here is all the z-scores. You can see that the negative ones are everything that's below the mean, and the positive ones are everything that's above the mean. So here's just kind of how you can find z-scores, mean, population mean, and yeah, some summary stats. That's it.